Are you tired of being buried underneath the paper clutter? Join me for this week's conversation where I teach you how to tackle the clutter before the new year. Hello, welcome to this week's Got Clutter, Get Organized, a conversation. We're talking about paper clutter and you really creating some habits, some routines, but also a strategy going into the new year. So I've got just 5 simple strategies to help you get started. So let's go. First of all, you want to categorize. There's 2 ways you can categorize things. If you know how you want your system set up because it's different type of information that you need to keep track of, categorize it like that. For example, it might be I was working with an educator, so she had local city history, she had state history, she had global history in regards to the information that she likes to tell her students. So we categorized her information like that. But maybe you have to categorize it by action. I need to shred this. I need to scan this. I need to archive this. I need to actually um, file this. So, or I need to take action on it. Maybe you have to reply to something, send something in, etc. So it can either be by the type of action or the type of information. So those are a couple of ways you can begin to just kind of sort through. And also, you don't necessarily have to think about doing anything chronological just yet. So that's the first thing. The second thing is with paper clutter, you really need a place to triage. And triage is like a place to just kind of sit things until you can get to them. So I advise people to get either a decorative basket, a decorative box by the entryway so that when you come in, you can just put the mail there because after you've worked all day, you've got to do homework, you've got to cook dinner, you may have to be doing caregiving, you may not feel like going through your mail. So your mail and all of that incoming information will be in one location, not all over the house and not you trying to figure out where it needs to go. So that's the second thing is just by the entryway. And that way, once a week, you go and you sit down and you go through and you just get rid of the junk mail, take action on whatever you need to take an action on. And if you have to file something away, you file it away. So that's second thing. Number 3 is tossing. Get rid of stuff. Get rid of the expired coupons. Get rid of anything that is no longer useful, dated information you no longer need, receipts that have faded. Get rid of as much as possible. So, for example, maybe you go and you decide you want to treat yourself to, you know, a beverage and maybe a little nice little snack like a muffin or croissant or something. Well, do you need that receipt? Yes, you want to make sure you track it specifically if it's being debited out of your account. But once you do that, do you need to keep it? Think about that because we're talking about paper clutter, but also reducing paper clutter into the new year. And then, of course, digitize the essentials. What are the essentials that you need to keep? Now, of course, we're moving in, excuse me, to a new year, which means that we've got to get ready for the tax season. So, what do you need to digitize? I am so thankful and grateful for the person who does my taxes, is because she gives me everything in a PDF. So if I truly need to make a copy of it, I can print a copy, but I don't have to have a physical copy. Do you need those bank statements? What about the bills you get? Now, a lot of times people's like, oh, I like to get a physical copy, but every month you can get an email saying this is what you owe. Then you can go in. You can probably, if you want to just download and put a digital copy, you don't necessarily need a physical copy because, for those of you who live in small spaces, for those of you who are just like Janet, I am busting at the seams. These are just little strategies that you can use in order to make sure that you do have enough space for the things you love and use, but also you can have access to the things you need when you definitely need them. And then the last thing is setting up a policy. a family policy, an individual policy on how you are going to manage paper in the new year and moving forward. Again, am I going to get electronic statements? Am I going to decide that I'm going to have something by the door so when I come in, I can just put my mail in there? Am I going to have a day designated each and every week or month to scan items, to shred items? Am I going to start a box and a bag to actually make sure that when the next shredding event takes place, that I am ready, that I'm not scrambling around trying to figure out what I need to get rid of? And actually, in regards to shredding events, if they happen frequently in your community or within uh, a proximity to where you live, is put those shredding documents either in a paper bag, definitely a paper bag, or even a box. Because this is what happens for those of you who have never attended a shredding event. Specifically, if you put it in a paper bag, they just put it in the big bin, and then that bin goes up, and then everything in the bin gets shredded because it's paper. If you put it in a box, of course, they've got to dump all that stuff out. And, I've seen it where people have dumped stuff out, and then depending on if it's a windy day, I'm preparing you, all of you. If it's a windy day, sometimes you just got to run around, usually the parking lot, because that's where our events are held. So those are some things to actually think about moving forward. So number one, sort into categories, whether it's the type of information or it's the action, it's the scanning. I got to shred this. I have to take an action on this. Number two, a temporary place where those papers are. And I say temporary because when you put that mail, that incoming information in that temporary spot, it's temporary. So at least once a week, you need to go and just kind of go through and see what's in there. Number three, toss. What can you toss today? If you went through your wallet, I bet you would find at least one, two, maybe even three items you can get rid of. Is it an expired coupon, a receipt that's faded, or a receipt that you don't even need? Number four, digitize. Think about, that might be a great start. Like, think about all the stuff that you physically get. What can I do? What can I put in a digital form? Can I do my bank statement? Can I actually get electronic bills every month? Those are some things, and it's a comfort level. Start with one bill and then maybe move up. The fact that each month I get my major bills, the electric, the cable, the cell phone, I get an electronic notification, email saying, hey, the bill is due. This is the amount. Sometimes we just try to take little steps. And the last thing is setting up a policy for 2026. And that really is looking at all the information you're getting in, but also looking at your space. A lot of you are in a small space, so you don't not necessarily have a space for a filing cabinet or even, 2 or 4 drawer filing cabinet. Or maybe you don't even want it. You don't, because that's maintenance. Because think of how you can have a digital system. Now, I know a lot of you may not feel comfortable with digital clouds and things like that. You can always, and actually, I'm going to show you right now. I have several of these. They are flash drives. Heard one fall. These are my flash drives, and each one represents something different. But this is how I keep. You can have flash drives, you can have hard drives. So that's one way you can keep your information, because I have different things that I want to save, but I don't necessarily want to have a filing cabinet. And actually, for those of you who have been following me for all of these years, I have a 2-drawer filing cabinet. Actually, I've been able to pare it down to 1 drawer. That's how much information that I have. Now, I do have binders and things like that, but that's just for stuff I need to have accessible. But think about what would give you less stress, but also feel more in control of the information. So I do hope you found these strategies helpful. Let me know if you have any questions, but also let me know like how you're going to work through this project, because this is a great time just to even think about how you want to go into the new year. And then when you're in the new year, you'll have a plan already. So for those of you who are listening via the audio version, continue to listen because I've got more tips and strategies that I want to share with you to help you conquer your paper clutter. And of course, for those of you watching, thank you so much. I so appreciate you. And there's always a link below where you can listen to the entire audio version as well. So you continue to have a clutter-free day as well. And don't forget again to click all the links. That's right, click all the links below. So what did you think about this week's conversation? What area are you going to tell? Are you just going to maybe put a temporary box, basket, bin by the door so that every time something comes in, you put it there? That's your temporary spot to put things. Or are you going to just maybe just sit down and think about all the categories you need to organize? Or are you going to think about actually creating a policy for the new year? Because I know sometimes we think that that's only just for big companies. No, that's for you as well. You need a paper management policy for your family as well as your life. So continue to share that with me below. Let me know what you're going to do. So continue to have a great day. Continue to be safe. Continue to have a clutter-free day, but also have an organized week. And make sure, again, click those links below.